Hey there, it's Rob Hatch, and this is Simple Decisions. I was thinking today a lot about the time between things, the time that we allow ourselves to transition. And I know I mentioned before that idea or that concept of residual attention that we can carry from one thing to another. And that's a real thing that we have to contend with. But I was talking with a coaching client earlier today about this idea of how much longer it seems to take for people who are solopreneurs, consultants, coaches, anyone who is a freelancer. There's so many aspects to running your own business that you have to contend with. You often won't outsource. And we forget that when we were working inside of organizations, that there were other people working simultaneously towards a common goal, and they might have been handling other elements. And so, sure, while you might have been busy, if you have experience in that realm, there's a huge difference between being able to go from one thing to another to being driven, from being driven by the pace of the culture in which you are existing around other people, the meetings that are scheduled, the expectations you have, the interactions that you have with other people, the brainstorming sessions, whatever that might be. There's a huge difference in going from working with that sort of collaborative environment to being on your own. And I would say for remote workers as well. And one of the biggest differences is that everything takes more time. So the goals that we set, when we don't reach them, we get down on ourselves or we beat ourselves up for not having achieved what we thought was possible. And part of that is due to the fact that we've set unrealistic expectations, that the expectations that we had for our performance inside an organization and our performance outside an organization are just very different. Everything takes a little bit more time when you are working on your own. That's not necessarily true of remote work, but it is true of those people who are working for themselves, individuals, freelancers, when the weight of or the responsibilities of all the various parts and pieces of a business are on you. So we need to look at our schedules in a very different way. We need to leave room between things for our brain to be able to switch and adjust. We need to be able to accommodate those transitions in a very different way, to go from one thing to the next without having any sort of supports around you is just very difficult. And finding the time or finding the motivation, being able to be driven by the priorities that you've set and trust those priorities that you've set is very different than working in an organization that sets some of those priorities for you. So how do we do this? Well, we have to set more realistic expectations. For example, if we have a goal of achieving something 6 months out, and we work backwards and we say, let's just call it a fitness goal. There's a fitness goal, and we have an expectation for what it will feel like or what things will look like at 6 months from now. And we work backwards to, how many times a week can I actually reasonably expect to get to the gym, given all the other responsibilities I have in my life? And so maybe you say there's three times you can get to the gym that week, each week. Well, then you might want to go back out to the bigger goal and say, okay, will 3 times a week get me to that bigger goal? Now, the tendency here, if the answer is no, the tendency is to say, well, I must then have to add a 4th day or a 5th day. And maybe you can do that. But the right answer, or the right answer for a lot of people, might be to dial back the 6-month expectation, because we fail to account for all the various roles that we have to play. We are the marketer, we are the website builder, we are the SEO expert, we are the sales expert. There's so many parts and pieces to the work that we do as individuals, freelancers, solopreneurs, solo business owners, that we don't have the resources always to outsource to other folks to help us achieve those goals. So when you are considering a project or thinking about what you can do, what you can accomplish, and how you want to spend your time, just give yourself a little grace and leave a little bit of room. I'm Rob Hatch, and this is Simple Decisions.